how are you? Welcome back to my channel. We're going to talk about the books that did more emotional damage than any relationship I've ever been in. These books are disturbing, they're traumatic, they're scary, and rewired my brain in the best way. So we're going to talk about it. And these are in no particular order. They're just random. So I didn't like rank them or anything like that. Also, I apologize for the weird ass lighting. Don't have a window today because I'm filming this kind of late at night. I'm trying to work around my work schedule. I have no makeup on. I'm still wearing what I wore to work today. I'm just working with what I have here. I'm just working around with my schedule. But let's get into it. First one is You've Lost a Lot of Blood by Eric LaRocca. This book is the one that rewired my brain. I don't even know what happened. It's so hard to explain it. It's, all I know is that I was uncomfortable, but I liked it. It was an odd experience. It was a very odd experience. It's one of those things, it is so hard to explain the synopsis of this. And honestly, it's one of those, it's kind of good to go into it knowing as little as possible. The back only says, each precious thing I show you in this book is a holy relic from the night we both perished. The night when I combed you from my hair and watered the moon with your blood. You've lost a lot of blood. That's all the back says. I will tell you, I'm going to say as little as possible because I want you to go into this, like I said, knowing as little as possible. But this, the main character is Martyr Black. And he is an interesting person. And most of it is dialogue between him and his boyfriend. You have poetry, you have text, you have little text threads and dialogue and all these things. But then there are also chapters on this novella that he wrote. And the novella is about this woman who is a software developer, and she goes to this mansion in the middle of nowhere to work on a new video game, and she takes her kid brother with her, and things go awry very, very quickly. Things get weird with this video game and this mansion. That's all I'm going to say about it. That's all I'm going to say. But it's a very interesting layout. The writing style is mesmerizing. I couldn't look away. I read this in one sitting because I could not put it down. And I know the reviews on this aren't high. So it may be one of those, you're either gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. I personally thought it was a masterpiece. I thought it was very well done. It left me completely just confused, I guess, but in a good way. The best way I could put it is that this book is a mindfuck. It really is. It's chilling, and it is just mesmerizing. Eric LaRocca's writing style is just something of its own. It's unlike anything that I've ever read before, and my mind is completely altered because of it. This was just something else entirely. And like I said, if you read it, you're gonna understand why I can't explain it. It's different. It's wildly, wildly different, and it's weird, and very, very chilling. Next is Into the Drowning Deep by Myra Grant. This is an emotional trauma. This is survival trauma, and I may never go into the ocean again. This is about killer mermaids, basically. 7 years prior, this ship went into the Mariana Trench to film a mockumentary about mermaids. That ship was lost at sea. I believe they found the ship, and the crew had been brutally killed. There was found footage, and it showed them being offed by mermaids. So a lot of people thought it was a hoax. They didn't think it was real. They just thought, maybe it was just all acting, I guess. So now fast forward 7 years, and there's a new crew assembled. They're going to go out and see if mermaids really do exist and, you know, what really happened to the original crew. One of the people on the ship is a sister to one of the original victims, so it's very personal to her. Yeah, okay, let me tell you why this made the list. It's not an obvious choice considering the others that are on here, but this is one of the only books, actually this may be the only book, maybe one of two, to ever actually get to me as far as fear goes. This one actually scared me. This one actually had me holding my breath in fear. And it wasn't the mermaids that got me. The mermaids didn't do it. There were some claustrophobic moments and just the depths of the ocean, the darkness of the ocean, the claustrophobia, all those things got to me. This is an excellent book. It's chunkier, but it's worth it. So many people told me that I needed to read this, and I'm so glad they all recommended it because it is excellent. There's also a lot of representation in here that was really important because these are all scientists. This new crew is mostly scientists. There are also people filming and things like that. But there are so many good representation here. There are some, there's disabilities, and there's a deaf scientist. She's awesome. There's queer rep. There's, I'm trying to remember all the different representations on here. There's all different nationalities here. I'm trying to remember. I will link my original review down below of this one so you can see my full review because I go into more of it there. But there's a lot of different representations here that I really appreciated. But yeah, this was freaking well done and got under my skin and had that sense of dread. And like I said, had me holding my breath and gave me goosebumps, and it was excellent. Next is I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Anne Reid. This is a psychological horror that feels like a panic attack that you can't wake up from. It's the best way I can put it. Yeah, this is one of those that I read it and just had to sit there quietly for a little bit and just think about what I had read. It's really good. And this is another one that does not tell you what to think. It leaves it up to interpretation. I love that. There are a lot of different interpretations on it, and it kind of has this big question mark, you know what I mean? I personally love that. Some people may not, but I thought it was excellent. I'm gonna read you the synopsis of this one. It's been a while since I've read this. It says, I'm thinking of ending things. Once this thought arrives, it stays, it sticks, it lingers. It's always there, always. Jake once said, sometimes a thought is closer to the truth, to reality, than an action. You can say anything, you can do anything, but you can't fake a thought. And here's what I'm thinking. I don't want to be here. Yeah, so this couple, the girlfriend is the one thinking of ending things, and they end up going to his parents' house for whatever reason. Even though she really doesn't want to be there, she's thinking of ending things, she still goes to his parents' house. And yeah, there's also some things that there's recollections of the past and all that from what I can remember. This is a weird book. It's very odd. It's unnerving. It's unsettling. It's chilling. It literally gave me goosebumps. There's a scene in here that had me on the edge of my seat and literally gave me chills. It really did. It was so unsettling. And you have this sense of dread because you feel like you just feel something terrible is going to happen. You don't know what, and nothing's really happening at the time. There were times that nothing was really happening, but you have this sense of something's going to happen. And you just feel that way for the longest time. And you know something is just way wrong. Something is just not right at all, and you don't know what it is. It's excellent. I think it's excellent. And it's one of those, like I said, you're either going to love it or you hate it, which is the case in most of these books, I think, except for Into the Drowning Deep. Most of these books are you either going to love it or you're going to hate it. You're either going to get it or you're not. And this is definitely one of those. I personally loved it. I love that there was so much left to interpretation, and it was brilliant. It's almost like a study of the mind, and I freaking loved it. And it was so creepy and unsettling though. So good. Next, we have The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. This one just hits different. This is a grief horror and a haunting that lingers long after you finish the book. I mean, this one has stayed with me. I read this for my book club. A couple of people had recommended it in our book club, and one of them had already read it, but she wanted to read it again as a group setting so that she could discuss it, and I definitely see why. I'm going to read you the back of this one as well because I don't want to give anything away. A tale of revenge, cultural identity, and the cost of breaking from tradition in this latest novel from the Jordan Peele of horror literature, Stephen Graham Jones, seamlessly blending classic horror and a dramatic narrative with sharp social commentary. The Only Good Indians follows 4 American Indian men after a disturbing event from their youth puts them in a desperate struggle for their lives. Tracked by an entity bent on revenge, these childhood friends are helpless as the culture and traditions they left behind catch up to them in a violent, vengeful way. Oh, this was excellent. Now, I will say, it took a little bit for me to get into it, and if it wasn't for book club, I may have even DNF'd it. And I'm so glad that I stuck with it. The biggest thing that you need to know is that the animals in this do not fare well. However, it is not for no reason. It very much lends itself to the plot. It's very important to the plot. They're not just like killing animals for no reason. And that's a big part of why I had a hard time reading it at first, because those parts were very hard. But I stuck with it, and I'm really glad because this ended up being a 5-star. So freaking well done. Stephen Graham Jones is an excellent storyteller. Took a little bit also to get into the writing style because he has a very unique writing style. And once I got into that though, I couldn't stop reading it. He has this like very intricate way of telling the story, and it's very layered, and I was just hooked. I was hooked. This is a story about grief and guilt and revenge, and it packs a very powerful punch. This is one that made me feel very, very deeply, and that's something that doesn't happen to me very often. I mean, it's very, very rare that a book can make me feel this strongly, but this one did. Also, I really enjoyed reading about the Native American experience. The traditions and just the experience in general. That was something that I really enjoyed reading. There's a lot of commentary in here on, racism and alcoholism as well. Another reason why I maybe would have DNF'd if this wasn't for book club was that it was definitely a slow burn. It took a little bit to really get into it, to the point I'm thinking, where is this going? Is this really horror? Where are we going with this? But the horror came out of nowhere. It just wasn't there, and all of a sudden, boom, it's there. And I'm like, whoa, that came out of freaking nowhere. There were parts in this that were so just chilling and, really kind of get under your skin. But also, it's just so, deep. There's so many surprises in here that I didn't see coming, that left my jaw on the floor, that had me just so freaking shocked. And I love that. If you can stick with the writing style, I think everybody needs to read this. I really genuinely do. It's an experience. I will never be the same again after reading it, ever. I want to read everything that Stephen Graham Jones has ever written, and I can't imagine anything else will live up to this. I know there are others that people say are or they like more or whatever, but I loved this so much. Also, if you want a book that hands over the plot on a silver platter, this also may not be for you. This makes you work for it a little bit. It's a slower burn. It doesn't tell you what to think, kind of leaves a little bit up to you for interpretation. But I loved that about this. I loved that I had to work for it a little bit. I loved that it took a little bit to figure things out. It took a little bit for me to get to where we were going. I think that was just part of the experience. I had a sense of dread in this from the very beginning, and that is a big part of why this book was so traumatic too, is because you know something's gonna happen, you don't know when, because it took a little bit longer to get there than I expected. But when we got there, it was like, boom. And then especially the second half was really gory, really violent. But I mean, it happens before that too, but I'm just saying, like, the second half especially was very violent and gory. But it just, you don't know when and you don't know how, you just know something's gonna happen. And you have this god-awful sense of dread from the very beginning. And it was just excellent. It was just excellent. As far as grief horror and revenge and all that goes, this is very well done. And it was a very unique time. And lastly, we have Gone to See the Riverman by Christopher Triana. Okay, this one 100% traumatized me. There are scenes in here that I would love to be able to scrub out of my mind, but it was so good. Like 5 stars, would definitely read it again. And I know that's an odd thing to say after I said it just traumatized me, but it was so freaking good. This is extreme horror, so just know that going into it. There are some scenes in here that are very disturbing. Check trigger warnings if you have any. This is about, there's a woman named Lori who is obsessed with serial killers. She's particularly obsessed with this one serial killer named Edmund Cox. Like, she is sort of like a groupie, if serial killers have groupies. He's in prison and she's just been visiting him, sending him letters, all this. Well, one day he gives her a little mission. He asks her to take a key to the Riverman. So she's supposed to go to Edmund's shack in the woods, in the middle of freaking nowhere, find the key, and take it to the Riverman. Riverman doesn't even have an address. He's like, you'll know it when you see it. That's not weird at all. Another thing, because Lori is an idiot, she decides to take her disabled sister along with her on this very ominous and creepy quest. So, yeah, it's all just a very great idea. Yeah, it's a pretty short book, so there's not a lot I can say without spoilers, so I'm gonna be careful. I'm not gonna say too much. I did this as a buddy read, and we both had a very hard time sticking to our page limits because we couldn't stop reading it. It is so good. You want to know what happens next. You want to keep going. This, like, you go into, well, first of all, the main character, Lori, is not a likable character. You will absolutely hate her. I hate her. You will hate her. She's one of the most unlikable characters I have ever ran across, ever. And that's saying a lot because I've ran across some pretty awful characters. But she's not great. You go into her past, you learn more about her past and all this as well. And then also you're going on this little adventure, if you want to call it that, to find the Riverman and take this key. The setting is freaking excellent. It is nice and creepy. The river, the woods, all of this is so ominous. I mean, Christopher Triana can really set a scene. He can also really write deplorable characters, unlike anybody I've ever read before, ever. I've said that before about him. I've read 3 books by him, and all 3 had really deplorable characters. But yeah, you run into, like, Lori and her sister, they come across these characters along the way, so you have all these other people. And then also the river itself is kind of a character. So you have that too. That's all I can really say. Just know that this is very raw and gritty. It's disturbing. It's on a whole nother level as far as disturbing goes. It is sick and twisted. It is so fucked up, but it's also not, as you know, extreme horror. There are some extreme horror books where they are just gross and disturbing just for the hell of it. This has a whole story that is fascinating, and I love that about it, where you actually get a story and it's not fucked up just for no reason. There's actually a story behind it. It's freaking excellent. It's excellent. I still haven't read part 2. I really need to, the book 2. But this is so good that there are some scenes in here that I will never get out of my mind, ever. No matter how long I try, there's not, it's never gonna get out of there, ever. I'm like forever gonna be traumatized by this book, but I would read it again. Just torture myself. I don't know. Have you read any of those books? Let me know. Did any of them scare you, traumatize you? What did you think about them? Are there any books I should add to my TBR that are traumatizing or scary? I'm always up for a little challenge, and I love the fact that what is traumatizing and scary for me may not be the same for you. I love that we can experience books completely differently. That's what makes reading so fun. But let me know if I need to add anything to my TBR, and there probably will eventually be a part 2, because I had a hard time narrowing this down to 5 because they're disturbing books that I've read. So there could very well be a part 2. Let me know if you want one. Anyways, also, while I've got you, just let you know my posting schedule will probably change. You can tell that I've been late on posting lately. It's because I'm really having a hard time getting a video in on time with my work schedule. So I think I'm going to start posting on Mondays. I'll probably I think that's what I can make work. So obviously this one's going up on Tuesday, but that's just because I had a lot of stuff. I had a job to do on Sunday. I helped somebody with their social media, and because I also do social media management and things like that on the side. So I did that on Sunday, which is why I didn't get a video done on time for Monday this time. Anyways, my posting schedule will change to Mondays. Sorry for changing it again. But I think that's what I can make work with my schedule and not stress myself out. And I like to be consistent with the same day, so you know what to expect. It just makes it easier. Anyhow, I will see you next week for my November reading wrap up. Bye for now.